everyone. Today we are going to talk about some portrait composition tips. So these are tips that will help you take some awesome and attractive and intriguing portraits. Now, first of all, portraits are photographs of human beings. So oftentimes when a photographer is out there taking a portrait, they will focus on a person's face or half of a person's body. So sometimes from their torso and up. And other times in the portrait, you would see a full body of a person. But the bottom line is, whenever you're taking a portrait, your focus is to take pictures of human subjects. Let's go on with our tips. Tip number 1 for portrait taking is to fill the frame. This means when you take a portrait, you want to get close to your subjects. Here is an example. So you see that the photographer went right in to take a close photo of his or her subject. Now, there are some tips for this. When you're trying to fill the frame, you want to take a look to make sure that the space you've left off at the top of your photo isn't that much. I've heard one tip where you could leave about 3 finger space right at the top of someone's head. And then you want to make sure that you're not taking in too much of the background because you're trying to focus on the subject as much as possible. So tip number 1, fill the frame. Tip number 2, center the dominant eye. So as you're taking photos of your subjects, not only do you want to fill the frame, you want to make sure that on your frame, you have placed the dominant eye of the subject in the center of the photo. What do I mean by that? Check this out. Look at this example. The photographer had picked one of the eyes of the subject to be the dominant eye, and the photographer had placed that eye right in the center of the photograph. This creates a level of attraction and a strong focal point where when viewers look at the picture, they will right away be attracted to the eye. And eyes are oftentimes the most powerful image in a photo. So you want to make sure it's right in the middle. Another way of using this, you can combine this tip with the rules of thirds. And this is how it could look like. Now again, this photographer had placed one of the subject's eyes right in the middle of the photo, as you can see with the white dotted lines. And then, combining with the rule of thirds, this is how it would look like. What you can do is first to center the eye in the middle of the photo with your vertical line, and then with your horizontal rule of thirds lines, you could place the eye at the top third of the photo. And that will create another powerful image. So you can combine the dominant eye tip along with the rule of thirds tip. Rule number 3. This is about using natural contrast. And by natural contrast, we're talking about the colors. So you want to look for complementary colors, and there is a way of doing this, and that is using our friend, the color wheel. Now, complementary colors are always opposite from each other on the color wheel. So, for example, if you want to find a color that would contrast well with green, you look across from it to find that color, and it would be red. If you want to find a color that contrasts well with blue, you can go right across, and that is orange. So when you're taking a photograph, you want to make sure that your subject is contrasting well with the background. So this could be about your subject's skin tone, hair color, the clothes that he or she is wearing, and you want to have a natural contrast between how your subject looks and the clothes he or she is wearing to the background the subject is standing against. So let's check out an example. Over here, we see that our subject is wearing a red plaid shirt and the background is green. So in this way, the subject is able to pop out from the photo. So the clothes that she's wearing is contrasting well with the background. As you can see on the color wheel here, green naturally contrasts well with red. So that's another way of applying natural contrast in your photos. So let's quickly review. There are 3 top tips for composing portraits. Number 1, you want to make sure you fill the frame. So you get close to the subject, leave only about 3 finger space on top of the subject's head. Number 2, you want to position your subjects so that you can center upon one of your subject's eyes, and we call that the dominant eye. And this is also a tip that you could combine along with using the rule of thirds. And number 3, as we're looking at colors, make sure that in your portrait you're able to use natural contrast. And in this case, your best friend would be the color wheel. You want to find colors that are positioned on opposite sides of the color wheel to find the best natural contrast. And there you go. These are the top 3 portrait composition tips for you. Happy snapping!